was quite risky. She sent word to Mordecai, and she reminded him of the penalty if anyone dare come before the king without being invited. See, we don't know anything about living like this today. This was serious stuff.
Yes.
Surely Mordecai had forgot the penalty involved if somebody go to the king and didn't get an invitation. No one, including even the queen, could come before the king unless they were previously sent for by the king. You didn't come to his place unannounced. No, you didn't. Only if the king put forth his golden scepter to a violator of this law will the uninvited visitor escape death. I'll give you an illustration the best I can. The king's sitting there on his throne. Maybe looking at something on the parchment, some kind of law in the land. And then all of a sudden, he catches with his peripheral vision somebody over there. And all he's got to do is look. And he didn't invite that person. And that person has showed up unannounced. They're doornail dead.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
If he wants to. But he's sitting there looking at his parchments or whatever he's doing, twiddling his thumbs, and then he catches something out the side of his eye and he looks. And then he looks. Takes that golden scepter. Holds it out. And you can come. You bypass that penalty. You didn't die. And that's pretty much what Miss Esther is conveying to Mordecai. You know, you can't help but get to thinking when you read something like this. Thank God that the King of Kings is not that difficult to come to.
That's good. Amen. Right.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Right.
King of Kings.
Yeah.
The Lord of Lords. Jesus is not that difficult to come to. I'm glad that Jesus is only a prayer away from all who are sincerely approaching Him, just a prayer away. I'm glad that there's no risk involved in calling to Him. I'm glad that we can fall to pieces in His arms and He'll carry us.
Yes,
Right.
Thank God.
Amen.
Right.
Thank God. I told Bobby coming to church tonight, I said, honey, we just fall in the part of Jesus' arms and He's carrying us. What a King of Kings He is.
Right.
Amen.
Esther sent word to Mordecai informing him that she had been called by the king in 30 days. Now this again tells us something about this heathen king. I mean, he lost his interest in his new and beautiful woman. He didn't have the interest in her he once had. She said, I ain't been in his presence now in 30 days. She wanted Mordecai to understand that she no longer seemed to have the influence upon the king as she did when he first saw her and desired her to be his queen. Mordecai, I want you to understand, I just don't seem to have that influence on him anymore, and I ain't seen him in 30 days myself. So she uses this as an excuse not to go into the king on behalf of her fellow chosen ones. Actually, by her actions, right here, she's like men in the church. They're not willing to take a risk to do something for the Lord.
Right.
A lot of people won't take a risk.
Right. Right.
Please understand, taking foolish risks is surely unwise. When doing a work for God, you can take some foolish risks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about y'all, but if I get up on the Sunday morning and there's that much ice on the road, it'd be sort of foolish risk to try to make it.
Right. Yes.
Right.
The water's 8.5 foot deep across the valley you got to go through to get to the church. That's foolish risk right there. I'm
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
I was a very preacher. You go ahead, you might take a ride that you wasn't intending to take.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some foolish risks. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about that. But doing something for God will not eliminate all risks. For the truth be known, listen, if we don't eliminate all eliminate our service to Him if we just eliminate them all. Coming here this evening requires a certain risk for you and me. Now, we didn't think about it, but we got about that close to trucks meeting us head on. Amen.
Yeah.
And if by chance one weaved a little bit and went back, you will thank God.
Yeah, right.
Because there was an angel out there. Move him over. Let one of my children get through. But it was a risk. It was a risk. I mean, we come out here and we exposed ourselves to COVID tonight. Anybody in here got it, have it? Nobody coughs in public anymore. They hold the cough until they get out in the parking lot. You ever notice that? You used to come to church, all you heard was sneezing and coughing. You remember?
Yeah.
I know I'm telling the truth. You are.
Right.
I'm telling the truth. Everybody coughs. Nobody coughs in church no more. A preacher friend told me the other day, he had to call from Lowe's Home Improvement. He said he held it till he got in the parking lot. But you know, we risk. We got it. They say it's everywhere. Now we risk the flu, the common cold, stomach virus. I pray none of y'all got that tonight. Sure, Lord, please don't. No. You have lay hands on somebody else, lay hands on me tonight. Amen. But there's a certain risk. What I'm trying to say, there is a certain risk to doing something for the Lord. And the fact is this: we'll accomplish little for God if there's no risk involved.
That's right.
So this was the case for this. She would never accomplish for the Lord that which she's able to do unless she's willing to take this risk. It's the only way she's going to be able to accomplish this. She's got to take this risk. She has been informed and she has been instructed to get involved. And Lord willing, God lets us get up here again next Wednesday, we will plainly see that she's ready to get involved, and she's ready to take this risk on behalf of God's people. I hope something was said tonight that will help you when you walk with the Lord, and I surely need myself. I do. Miss Terry was singing just a few minutes ago. I tell you, sometimes we get blindsided in this life. Some things we see coming, and some things we don't see coming.
Right. Yeah.
And just happen to see it, you not halfway get prepared.
Yeah.
Boy, that stuff slips up on you.
Yes, sir.
You're just unaware. And she's testifying, going good, singing, great is faithful God is. I don't know, I just got to think about something. I have to find it again. I'll share it with you when we're home. And I feel like this man sometimes myself. He's over in Mark 9, and you remember the story when I tell you about it. He had a son that the devil had just tore him to pieces, throw him down on the ground, tear him, rip him up, and he was just pining away. And the Lord, these men went to the Lord's disciples, and they couldn't do nothing with him. And that's another sermon in itself. Or in Matthew 17, Jesus and Peter, James, and John up on a mountain, having a mountain experience, and there was a valley experience going on down there while they were up on the mountain. But Jesus said something to that man about his boy. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believe. Now I feel like this father sometimes. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. Help thou mine unbelief.
Yes, sir.
You ever felt like that?
Yes, sir.
I believe.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yes.
Oh, I need help sometimes.
Yes, sir. Yes, that's good.
Needless to say, Jesus rebuked that old foul spirit, called it a dumb and deaf spirit, charged it to come out of him and enter him no more. And that spirit cried, rent him sore, came out. And he was one that's dead, and his mother said, "Man, said he's dead," but Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. So I think that daddy got his unbelief helped too. He's able. Sometimes I feel like that daddy's out there. I believe. But oh, God help my unbelief. Lord, we love you. Thank you again for letting us be in church tonight. Thank you for every home represented, both in prayer and really to teach us words as a way to help us. We sure do thank you for just being real good to us. Keep us safe now as we lead more separate directions. And we're looking forward to being back the next appointed time. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.